Okay, here we are with the JROCK Onsen. This is episode 9. I was just informed that if you count the months, we can keep track of it. So, this is October, and we got myself, Mazo. We got Nexus.
You know.
We also got Sizz.
Yo.
And NBT.
Quack, quack.
What?
Crows
That's
don't
the
quack,
wrong bird,
bro.
you idiot.
Quack, quack. It's my new thing.
Okay, it's this new thing. Let's all jive with it. So right off the bat, I'm just gonna let everyone know I am a little sick this month. So I'll probably have some coughing fits and whatnot. I'll try and keep the noise to a minimum, suffer in silence.
But you know, it's okay because we're all a little bit sick in the head anyway. So
wow, this guy's fucking edgy.
Yeah. Keeps making the wrong bird noises and shit.
quack, quack.
I wish I had a soundboard so I can get that filthy Frank hilarious and original in here every time NBT said something.
I think you can find better things from Filthy Frank to use.
It's time to stop, NBT.
It's time to stop.
All right. Let's get on topic though. Which this topic might be a little polarizing, might get some panties in a bunch because it's got to do with Visual-kei, and you know how crazy Visual-kei people get. Nexus, and the topic itself is that Visual-kei is now a turnoff, and what I mean by that is it's not really the glory days of Visual-kei anymore. It's not where you know you can just be a Visual-kei band and everybody's like, oh how unique this band's super interesting. Now you're just like everyone else, and also specifically Western fans are over the feminine guys.
But is it a turn off though? Like, as in, you get turned off by just seeing a Visual-kei guy, or is it more like you're not really that interested in it anymore?
You know, I can say personally, I think it is. Like, if a band shows up and they have their visuals, a lot of times, if they're, like, super, like, traditional VK, like, really Victorian stuff, I can look at them and be like, okay, so they're gonna try and sound like Versailles.
Wait,
and I can
how
already
is that
know.
traditional
Yeah.
VK?
Yeah.
I don't think that's traditional VK.
So-
it's kind of hard to like.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of hard to call it traditional VK because you'd have to argue, like, what is traditional VK, but if they have the whole Victorian look, you know, most of them are wearing dresses, then I kind of already assume they're going to sound like Versailles. Not that Versailles is bad or anything, but Versailles sounds like Versailles. I don't need everyone else to sound like Versailles.
But like, you know, Versailles aren't the only active Tanbiki band. If you look at D, they look kind of similar with all the dresses and shit.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're the only one, but I am saying that when another band looks similar to them and you know, they're really pushing that VK envelope, like, oh, we're VK as fuck, then I'm kind of like, yeah, you go do that in your corner. I'm gonna listen to something else.
What would be? Give us another example.
But it's more like with Visual-kei, the look of the band is such a big, like, I don't know, like entry into the band's like music and stuff. So if you can't get past the visual part, it's hard to kind of like even dive into the band's music.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's like selective. Not selective,
Yeah,
but
definitely.
if you can get, once you do get past entry level, if that's even the entry level, then you've got a whole scene to look at, you know. And I like seeing all these different costumes and all these creative, and even if they're sometimes similar, obviously not all people think of it like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's another part of it too that I guess I didn't clarify, is that it's really a turnoff to the normies too. You know, people who haven't been exposed to it at all, people into, you know, heavier music like metal, obviously. You know, these Visual-kei bands are usually pretty heavy metal in a lot of ways. And if you're into, I don't know, Metallica and this and that, man, I can't name like any Western heavy metal bands. Like Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer, whatever, and you want to find some similar stuff from overseas, Japan, and, you know, you're used to just these hideous freaking manly men screaming into their microphones, and then that's the first thing you see. You're not going to associate that with the sound that you're looking for. So it's kind of an immediate visual turnoff. It's kind of like, you know, those bright green frogs that if you eat them, you die.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to, like, who's into Western metal, who's seen, like, obviously people in beards who who just wear t-shirts and not really put much effort into, and correct me if I'm wrong if they don't put too much effort into their concept, and somebody who just like who's interested in that and then sees these people in like crop tops and thigh highs and whatnot, you know.
Yeah, I mean, one of the people I knew in the past when I attended community college who was into Visual-kei was also into punk. So there is a level of a look to punk, obviously, and an effort to look a certain way to be identified as punk aside from the music you put out. So I think it does have a way to attract people to it for being what it is, but at the same time, a broader, you're trying to attract, not trying to, but you're attracting niches, really. You're not really going to appeal to a broader sense, and part of the reason why I feel VK is now a turnoff is personally, and also if you look at, I'll just give two examples of two much bigger bands now that started out pretty VK and have kind of left it behind and exploded, are the Gazette and Diron Gray. You can't argue that they were never VK, because honestly, they definitely were.
Are you trying to tell me that if you look at Diron Gray now, that they're not VK?
Okay.
They're kind of being weird right now. They're kind of all over the place. But I wouldn't call them the VK that I'm talking about specifically, which kind of makes this conversation not really for naught, but a little harder to defend, is the VK of the guy running around in the dress or with big hair and all this and that.
But there's like so many substyles to Visual-kei that it's literally hard to do.
There's a ton of them.
But the thing is, all the bands that you brought up, they're gone from indie to mainstream pop.
Okay. Yeah, it's like a pattern in Japan, not only when you're trying to reach abroad, but they just kind of do this, that when they go from indie to like trying to reach a more mainstream audience, I wouldn't say that they drop Visual-kei completely, because oftentimes there is still this like pattern of associating looks with certain releases, kind of like Gazette, what they are doing, but the looks themselves are like more mellow. So the mainstream Japanese audience doesn't like fucking run screaming when they look at the band. Like kind of what happened with Naitomea and Matenro Opera and stuff like that. As soon as they go more mainstream, they mellow out the look.
But like, let me bring up another kind of topic that is related. For example, the band Zon. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but it's like Z-O-N, Z-O-N.
Yeah.
So
in America, we call it Z.
Shut up. Okay. So they actually started out as a kind of like, I don't know if we should call it a hybrid, but I met the drummer of the band, and he said like, the band is not really Visual-kei, but it's kind of Visual-kei. So I would presume that he called it a hybrid. But they started out really like, they had casual clothing, but as they progress, they become a lot more Visual-kei now. Usually it's the other way around, right?
Yeah, I think that's like sometimes when they don't have not a solid. Actually, it could. I guess that could be a variety of things. To be honest, like I guess their recent single, I think it's a recent single, Gas. There's a solid concept behind it. They're all wearing red, but they're like they've got heavier visuals, and I think it kind of
but like the whole topic that we're talking about. Well, the previous topic was that Visual-kei is a turnoff. So why would a band go from non-Visual-kei, which has potential to reach more people, to Visual-kei, which is a niche?
Well, to be honest, this is an exception, correct? That where going Visual-kei was the opposite effect of, instead of closing your doors, you open your doors to more people, but namely to the Visual-kei fan base.
Yeah, maybe I think they may have done that deliberately to reach this specific niche of Visual-kei, and they happened to be successful, so they stuck to it. You know what I'm trying to say?
I'm thinking of like Nokubura, Nocturnal Bloodlust.
Yeah.
They were, I think they were like a death metal band at first and had this kind of like typical Western death metal look before they switched to Visual-kei.
Yeah.
And now they're so much bigger than what they were before.
Yeah, they keep going back and forth. I think their relationship with Visual-kei is very complicated.
Their metal music, marrying it with their Visual-kei, brought two different fans together, really. I went to their live, went to like one of their one mans in 2014, and it brought together, like, you could see there were people who were really into metalcore who liked them, and then you could see the fans who were into the Visual-kei side.
I have actually,
yeah, on that note of the mixing of the two types of fans, I will say that's something I do see at DR on Grey shows, and I think it's pretty horrible, to be honest, because I see, you know, fans like myself who are into all of it. I see fans who are specifically into the heavier side of their music, and then there's the girls at the front row and the guys at the front row with their camera phones out trying to record everything, getting really fucking pissed every time we open up a mosh pit.
Jesus, that's actually, I know it's slightly off topic, but I literally got into a fight on the internet about this like several weeks ago, because I was trying to tell these specific people that recording at the concert is like kind of inconvenient for literally everybody else but you, and I got severely yelled at not to tell people to stop recording at lives.
Yeah, no, you just shove them, or you look for an opportunity to, you know, hurt them real bad.
Like, take the phone and just fucking
No, you wouldn't hurt somebody.
I wouldn't.
Or their possessions. Yeah, that's super fucked. But yeah, honestly, it's like, if you know, a pit breaks out and you're there recording and your phone falls down, you shouldn't have been doing it. I'm not saying I'm going to try and stomp on your device or anything. I'll probably be the one person who tries to help you. I like to be pit daddy, but...
Oh, that's good.
But seriously, you have to be aware of what you're doing to everyone else with your, you know, iPhone XS in everyone's fucking face instead of the band. Like, they look better in person than on the iPhone.
Yeah, use your eyes. But what I wanted to say about this, like, combination of two fandoms come into certain lives, I've actually experienced something similar to what we just talked about, but in like a negative fashion. Because I think it was Crossfade or something like that in Czech Republic some years ago. There, literally before the live, like a couple weeks before it on Facebook, there was a huge flame war that broke out because the like hardcore and metalcore fans, like the guys and all of those kind of people that like this band for the metal aspect, they were like literally banding up and sending hate to all the, I think they call them little Naruto cunts or something like that, to all the girls that like the Japanese bands because, you know, Visual-kei and shit like that. So it was really, really entirely unpleasant.
Yeah, I think that just happens in music.
Yeah, it's a general thing that happens.
I just find it really sad.
Okay.
Like, and we all just love the fucking band. Jesus freaking Christ. What's been on my mind for a while, especially like during this conversation, I've been thinking about it, is I kind of think that the general, it's maybe a bit of a controversial statement, but I think some of the reason why Visual-kei to many fans is such a turnoff is like the root of it might be somewhere in, I don't know if internalized homophobia or something like that, because I have actually encountered many...
Come on.
I thought you were gonna blame the fandom in general.
No, it's many times I've been talking to like fans of metal, and if you send them shit like they musically they really like it, but they don't really want to be seen like listening to it because they think it's like gay. Like that kind of shit. If you
You're
don't,
gay.
They think it's like gay.
You're gay.
The gay seal.
Sorry.
Yeah, but I think it's so silly, the whole thing. Like, and I don't know, it might be better now when like everyone is going all like PC and shit. But
or
I
like
don't
gay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I personally think, that is something. That is something, without a doubt. There is, you know, people out there who are into metal because, one, they like it, and two, because it's so fucking brutal. And then when you look at, you know, something like Versailles, you're like, that's fucking gay, dude. And then you can't get into it. So that is, another way I would say that VK can be a turnoff for people, but definitely the wrong reason. And also VK being a turnoff, just the visuals telling you you're not going to like this band, it's like judging a book by its cover, 100%. And that's not really fair. But again, the whole point of this, where I was going with it when I introduced it as a topic, is that in music you can judge a book by its cover too. And sometimes you can be right. You can pick something out and be like, I see the way they look. I see the cover of this book. I don't think I'm going to like it. But you can put your feet in the water and you can get right back out, because either you're going to go all the way in afterwards, or you're going to be like, yeah, I was right. Yeah,
no, wait.
right.
But the thing is, you don't want to invest that time in, like, because, I mean, you watch anime, right? Do you really give... Like, the general rule is that you give 3 episodes.
What are you, high? I'll give 2 minutes. It really depends on what it is.
See? That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
But that's what I'm saying. You don't want to invest your time, but I'm not saying you have to go and pick up a whole album and listen to that whole album
listen to one song or
sit there and evaluate the band and be like, well, these were the pros and these were the cons and the animation was really nice. I didn't see enough panties, but maybe an episode. So what I'm saying is, yeah, that's why we have these media outlets like YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever. You can listen to a song and be like, okay, not for me. Maybe in a year or two when they put out something new, I'll look at them again. But for now, not for me. So
not enough panties.
It's less of you're not putting in the time. Because you have to admit, it is also a monetary investment, too, whenever you find a band. So that's what's good about the age we're living in now. You can sample a little bit here and be like, it's not for me. And sometimes if you're really all about I don't have any time, you can be like, that guy's wearing a dress. That's not for me.
Unfortunately.
So, yeah, I mean, and the other direction I was going with it is Deviloof, as we all know. They announced that they're going to be working on doing their European tour. And they had announced that a while ago, but now they're like really pushing towards it. It's getting closer to the time where they're going to do it. That was one of the things that I mentioned to you guys, is that I really feel like instead of doing total one-man tour over there, they should really try and partner up with some of the metalcore scene out in Europe. Because there are a lot of bands out there, a lot of big ones. I've been to a few metalcore shows out here in the U.S. where they bring people from all over the world, and really you can piggyback off of each other. They can get some fans out in Japan, and Deviloof can get some fans out here. But if they go it alone, it might be hard to get people to show up based off, just themselves. Like, what exposure do they really have over here?
But it makes me wonder, what kind of fan base does Deviloof really have? They have this visual look, but their music, like, it's just metal.
Yeah. They don't fall into my stereotype of Visual-kei. I think we've established that, is that I definitely have a stereotype of Visual-kei, and that's where I was starting this whole thing with.
If you say Visual-kei, you literally just mean specifically Tanbiki and nothing else.
Well, it's not. Well, it's more like from a perspective of trying to sell their music overseas. What kind of fan base do they think they have established throughout these years?
I think if they're if they're like paired with the music, then I think it's quite possible that they could become much more popular than what they are now.
If they're paired with what?
Band. With the right metal band, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
So I mean, this is not Visual-kei related, but like Crossfaith, because they toured with bands that were Western bands, and they were support for them. And I think that's where Visual-kei bands need to like wise up and perform with bands that even though their looks may be like completely different, if they can musically be paired with somebody who's like of a similar or same genre, then I feel like there's much more of an opportunity for the music to be heard, for them to be seen, and for more people to come back and buy them. Because now Crossfaith are doing like one-mans, in the UK, and having UK tours and having European tours.
Yeah, I definitely agree that they will have more exposure if they tour with other bands of similar music. But do you think that they will have to kind of cut down the Visual-kei if they do it?
No, I don't think so at all. I think it would actually bring more people into Visual-kei. And I feel like with sometimes you get support band, you're just like, what the fuck is this shit?
A lot of times, yes.
And then you Google that shit and you realize that shit is actually kind of interesting after looking at it for a while.
No, that never happened.
That's not what we're talking about. But sometimes you get support bands and you're like, why did I come here for the main band?
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me sometimes, actually. Like, you come for the main band and then you realize that the fuck, I guess I was here for the support all along.
Yeah, that's one of the things me and my buddy like to do when we go to a Japanese show and they have like a very typical Western band opening. Because we know that everyone there is for the Japanese band, but during the Western band set, if they are decent, we'll most of the time just go, I'm here for you! I came for you! And watch all the people react negatively to us.
But I know it's low-key off topic, but I like doing that because, I don't know, it's nice to make the band happy because they're just like the opening act support band and they literally don't think that anybody's in there for them. And then you start yelling from the back, like, I'm here for you! And they're like, oh.
I mean, the thing is, you're there for the main band, so I feel like they're wasting my time.
Wow,
that's
NBT.
valid.
That's a dick thing to say.
I would preserve my energy for the main band because that's who I'm like devoted to, and that's why I'm spending all my time and money to fly to this country or wherever. So I'm not gonna waste my energy on a band I'm not gonna wanna check out.
Well, okay. Riddle me this, NBT. So this is part of what we're talking about, though, is namely Deviloof heading over to Europe. I feel they should be teaming up with some bands that are relatively known in Europe so that some of those bands' fans will show up because they're like, hey, that band's performing, let's go see them. And then they see Deviloof, and then they're like, holy shit, that band was pretty good. That's the whole point of being an opening act and everything. Meanwhile, you're here like not even going to give them a fucking chance.
No.
I have better shit to do because I'm here for bands.
I think the approach is gonna work if they team up with other bands of similar taste, of similar music. But I personally don't like to waste my time like that.
I get you.
I know it's gonna work. I just personally don't like it.
Yeah, I get you on that one. That like you don't. You when you go there, you go in with the mindset of I'm here for this band. Whoever opens, I hope they just get their set over with quickly. But as I said before, there are times where you go and the opening band ends up being really good, and you're like, "Wow, I'm glad I got to see them."
I actually haven't gotten to that point yet.
Very unfortunate.
Have you guys heard about when Metallica played and they had Avenged Sevenfold as their opening act?
Yeah, didn't people boo Metallica off to get more Avenged Sevenfold or something?
Really?
No, it was the opposite.
Oh, okay. Well,
but both of their bands are good.
Yeah, Avenged Sevenfold and Metallica. Well, I personally like Avenged.
This is debatable, but that's kind of how Van Halen got big. They opened for someone much bigger than them, and people preferred Van Halen that night over the main band.
Oh my god!
So
this is debatable.
Yeah, this can happen, but
yeah,
you know, just to move on, so we're not stuck here lingering. Is again, before they've kind of jumped in there to Europe, they also did something awesome this month, which was they live streamed one of their shows. Yeah, it wasn't anything like spectacular. It wasn't like 90 cameras or anything. It was a super small venue, like one of those little underground venues in Japan. If you've seen them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there was a nice little crowd there. They got some circle pits going. They got a few walls of death. I mean, it was awesome, and it was very cool to see all the different people who jumped in on it. They streamed it through Facebook. We had people from Canada. We had people from Poland. We had people from Germany. We had the Russian people who refused to speak anything but Russian. And then we also had there was someone from Iran, and they were missing church to watch Deviloof.
Oh wow!
It was super cool. I mean, I you know, sat here with my subwoofers all connected to me so that I could feel the show, and I gotta admit it was awesome. So
it's funny that they're missing out on church to see Deviloof.
Deviloof, yeah,
nice.
So that was something that happened. I don't know if they archived it and posted it, but if they did,
yeah, it's archived.
Go look for it.
It's
there
archived.
You go. Go look for it. And we did get to interact a little bit with our camera woman, who was very accommodating to us, because I did notice when I joined in that they were trying to film in landscape, but the camera itself only wanted to do portrait, so the show was sideways. And we let them know, and they flipped it. And, you know, it was still in portrait. Kind of a narrow view, but it's not like it was a massive stage. So
why did you assume it was a camera woman?
The voice. the voice. But that's why afterwards I said they and them, because I don't know.
So how did you assume their gender?
I didn't. I did. I did, but I take it all back. So
You scum!
So
Scumbag.
ending all the VK turn off and bringing in the Deviloof. Deviloof should embrace their Deviloofness and not, go in there and be like, we're a super unique VK band, love us, you have to. They should, partner up with some good dudes, ride off of the success of their awesome live stream. It's obvious that there's people all over the world into this stuff.
So what's the conclusion? Is
What's the conclusion?
VK
conclusion?
a turn off or not?
It's open for discussion. So
Yeah,
The evidence was inconclusive.
Yeah, I still feel that with my opinions and my experience in the Japanese rock scene, that for the most part, if a band looks a certain way, I'm probably not going to like them. Pretty clearly, Nexus and Sizz, they're way more open-minded than I am. NBT, you like Sawano Hiroyuki, so...
Yo, dude, I'm real open-minded to Visual-kei music, but it's more like when I go to a live, I don't wanna just waste my energy because of how much effort I put into it already.
I get you, baby. I get you.
But yeah, if I'm sitting at home, I would listen to random bands' music because I'm really open to finding new music.
As we can agree, hopefully, this is definitely still an open topic. We're all kind of set in our ways, in a sense. Some of us, our ways are a little more open, some are a little more closed, me specifically. But we have our opinions on this, and VK is something that people will always have opinions about.
Yeah, you got that right.
Got that damn right. But on that note, let's jump to the viewers with the social media for this month. What went out this time was a poll asking people at work or school, how much time do you spend listening to music? And this one, I got a kind of anecdotal little story on it. In the past, up until maybe, 2 years ago, for me it was pretty much 24/7. I always had headphones or some type of speaker or something, constantly listening to pretty much every Diron Gray album on loop. But since 2016, when things got retarded in the US of A with elections and everything, I spend a lot more time listening to podcasts and different people covering different news stories, just being in the news cycle, listening to all the terrible shit that's going on in this country. But what about you guys? How much do you listen to music at work or school or wherever?
Sis, you wanna start? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I specifically have a pattern in which I literally almost never listen to music while I'm doing something, working or being in school or anything like that, because I have observed that throughout the last couple of years I have become somewhat unable to concentrate unless I'm working in silence, which is very bothersome to me. So the only time in which I'm able to listen to music is if I put it in my phone and listen to it while walking to work or to school or from there. So I have my days segmented into listening to music while walking and sitting in silence while I'm trying to work, and I hate it.
I feel that's so unfortunate, because my father's the same way, and he's super into death metal and stuff. Really,
yeah.
That's, I feel, a lot of the reason why I'm into the things I'm into. And he started going back to school a while back. He's done again now. But his thing was he couldn't do shit unless it was absolutely silence. And for me, it's the exact opposite of what you and him are, which is I need something to be there, or I'll start attempting suicide while writing my essays.
And I'm literally super sad about it, because I listen to so many bands and I like music so much, and I feel like I don't have time to listen to music now, because if I want to do anything, I can't.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that's really the best time for discovery and listening to a complete album and really taking everything in, but at the same time putting your energy somewhere else, being able to take that in and output it somewhere else. But Sizz, what about you?
I'm the same as Nexus. I only listen to music when I'm going to and from work, or if I'm going out, or whenever, or if a new band or on YouTube, then I'm listening to music there. But it's rarely a time where I can listen to music and do work, and I don't find that really unfortunate. I find that quite alright, because sometimes I have to listen to a music video and just get like a good idea of what a band is trying to do and whatnot. So sometimes it's like the same song over and over, but other times it's either if I don't go out, I just don't listen to music all that much, or if I get a new CD, then I'll listen to it like once, and then I'll rip it and then put it on my iPod and listen to it whenever. But I feel like that's really nice, because then you have something to look forward to.
All right. So I mean, looking at the poll, a lot of people selected the largest amount of time that we gave the option for. So it seems like you and Nexus may be in the minority in this subject, which that's fine.
So first of all, let me just say that I was super surprised by that the most people listen to music for more than 5 hours a day when they work or at school. I personally just fall around like 3 hours maybe, because sometimes you're forced to go to meetings, and sometimes you have to socialize with your coworkers. So it kind of like half of your days is basically interactions. And that's why I only have half of the day listening to music while I'm on my desk.
You're quite definitely not antisocial enough. You might need to work on that.
Yeah, I
mean, everyone, listen to music.
Yeah, MBT, I get what you're saying. Like, sometimes you get the meetings, sometimes you get people walking up to you asking you random stuff, sometimes you got to walk to the copier or whatever.
Yeah, but Nexus, you called me I'm not antisocial. No, I bought a pair of Bose headphones that are noise cancelling. So when I do want to can cancel everything out, I use those.
That's neat.
So I guess the consensus here is that as long as it's not affecting what you're doing in a negative way, we're trying to listen to as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, so basically, we just want to listen to music as much as possible when we have time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening pretty much all night while I'm playing For Honor recently. So, all right. Well, I mean, that's as good a stopping point as any. All of us agreeing on something for once in this podcast. This particular episode, not in general. We agree on a lot of things. But this Visual-kei subject got a little bit spicy. I'm glad it did. Got to see how we all align. Chaotic good, neutral, this and that. But, we'll be back next month with some more spicy memes. I mean, JROCK topics. So I've been your host, Mazo, with co-host Nexus, co-host Sis, and special guest NBT.
The Royal Quack Quack.
Oh, God, I knew the quacks were coming back. All right, everybody, stay safe out there.
Nice.